Here, you want to laugh a little bit?
Sure. In fact, he said it's a fundamental human right. Rock and I think it's a right.
Resolutions. Read the first resolution.
President Riley?
Vice President. Yes.
I don't know if we can delay, but I just got a text from Commissioner Egan. He's trying to get back in. So
Is he asking? Is he asking we hold off on this agenda item?
I believe so.
Okay, then let's take agenda item number 3.2 first. Vice President King.
Okay. Move to approve resolution 20-02, recognition of Sportsman Park.
Second.
A motion and a second. Would anyone like to speak on this resolution?
Sure.
Commissioner McBroom.
President Riley, yeah, just quick comment. You know, in my past life, before I got busy with kids, I used to pheasant hunt. And I've been meaning to go to Sportsman's Park for some time, and I forget about it. And I actually went a couple of weekends ago, and I really impressed with the park staff there. They keep it clean. The safety measures, we felt, you know, I went with some friends to shoot and felt safe. And, you know, I think it's something that it's great that we remind people it's there. Especially coming out of the pandemic. I regret not using it. And what a great thing to do outside with friends. So I'm glad we're recognizing it. Maybe some people that aren't aware that it's there may take this as a reminder to go use the range.
Mike, you're on mute.
I make some of my best comments on mute, Vice President King.
So do I.
Are there any other comments to be made on this resolution?
Yeah, I just like to echo President Riley. I'd like to make a comment. I just like to echo Commissioner Josh McBroom's comments as well too. You know, it's another one of our assets that we have in the Park District that is sometimes overlooked, but it's just I do go there occasionally, watch the shooters, and go there on Sundays to look at the facility. And it is one of our other facilities that we just keep immaculate. It's a great asset that we have for our city and for our residents. Definitely well worth the recognition.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner McBroom, have you received anything else from Commissioner Egan? Well, I think at this point, let's go on to that resolution 3.1. We'll have some commentary at the front end, so hopefully Commissioner Egan can rejoin us.
We got to vote on 3.2, 21.2.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Thanks. Okay, Bridget, call the roll on 3.2.
We don't have a motion in the second yet.
Yeah, he did. I second.
You do?
Yeah. He made a motion. I think so. We had time. Now we vote.
Right.
Yep.
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson, Commissioner Egan, not Egan, Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. And then we'll move on to resolution 3.1.
Move to approve resolution 20-01 regarding House Bill 3653, Criminal Justice Reform Bill, disapproving of the legislative process and recommending Governor Pritzker's veto.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Dirk, could you give us some background on this? Obviously, we're all familiar with it, but just for the record and some of the specifics that we're looking at, please.
Sure. We were asked to bring forward a resolution looking at the House Bill 3653, the Reform Bill. What people don't realize all the time is that the Naperville Park District has its own police force. It is a separate police agency. And the House Bill 3653 applies directly to the Park District in that regard. It applies to the men and women who are the officers of the Naperville Park District Police Agency. And the Park District's had the police department for quite some time. And just for my personal 2 cents in this, I don't think it's coincidental that it helps make Naperville the safest city in America. At least that's what the polls say and everything else. I think it's critical that you have a force devoted to remote and recreational areas, and that they're not competing with the other things the municipal police department has to do. So we have our own police force, we've had it, and serve the citizens well, and they're impacted by this bill. And while you don't think of our police force as involved in the undue use of force examples that are the kinds of things that have driven the conversation nationally and all the rest, we are impacted directly. If you want to know about how it would impact our police force, the Park District Police Force, most directly, take the most common thing our officers are asked to do, which is to remove a patron from a facility that's creating a problem. So there are persons who are asked to leave once in a while because of bad behavior on a day. There are a few people that have been banned from the facilities for their actions and behavior warranting the ban. What part of the bill does in its work is it takes certain classifications of what would be crimes, in this case trespass, which would be a class B or C misdemeanor, and says we're not allowed to use force for that any longer. Which means that for a person who's trespassing, acting inappropriately at the beach, the officer would be able to cite them, but not remove them. They would just get the stay at the beach. That example is not new. It's page 326 of the bill, for those who don't believe us. You can find it there. That has a direct impact on our officers about how they can do it. The finding of, they would have to make a finding that by leaving them there, they're a direct threat to a particular person. But of course, what direct threat is a subject of definitions within the bill that are not worked out. Now, we understand that this bill was the product of the legislative process that was short-circuited by COVID, like so many other things. And we also understand that there are people for whom it is very true that justice delayed is justice denied. And so the confluence of these forces resulted in a bill that didn't go through the usual vetting process, but that was still important to a large variety and segment of the population of the state of Illinois to move forward and do something about. There are a number of things as a lawyer when I read it that I could make a career on about what these things mean. That's one thing for me as a lawyer to make a career of. It's another for the men and women who are going to be subject to the bill and enforcing the laws in our society to deal with. They will have to be test cases for some of these things. And under the terms of the bill, what's significant for them is there's a lot at stake when they're a test case. And maybe that's how it should be. That's a policymaker's decision, not mine. What I can tell you though is, my law firm represents municipalities with police departments, counties with police departments, the sheriff, forest reserves and park districts, police agencies across the state of Illinois, and to an officer, everyone, regardless of what they think about what kind of reform and efforts are needed, want to know, how am I going to be trained on this? And the July 1 start date, frankly, gives us no time to train on. If we could get to a definition of some of these things, there are no modules to train on. And if we're really serious about this not being window dressing, that's a concern. How do you get the men and women to whom this applies trained to actually live with it and use it and apply it, as opposed to just saying, look what we did. And so as we have looked at it in terms of the concerns that directly apply to the Naperville Park District, those are the things in working on the content of this resolution are what we built in. We didn't take on some of the larger policy objectives with which everybody, I think, agrees. We understand that there are some needs to do some things, but some of those things we haven't been doing anyway. We don't use chokeholds in the Naperville Park District Police Agency. So banning those that's welcome. Security officers, mental health checks, even the decertification process, law enforcement is lining up behind a bunch of those things. And we haven't taken any of those in the resolution. What we put in the resolution were only the things that really would affect the day-to-day ability of the Naperville Park District's police agency to do its job for its residents. And all the resolution is really encouraging the governor to do is this conversation deserves a better vetting, a more full conversation on the law so that we can figure out what some of these brand new terms mean, that we improve the bill, and we offer an opportunity to train the men and women whose behavior we're looking to change. So that's what's in this resolution. This isn't a Rorschach about blue lives or black lives, although I understand why some people think it's that way. But we've tried to tailor this bill. Chief Schindlerbeck, and with some input from Renovation and his experience, we tried to tailor this to where it really impacts the Naperville Park District. We may not have done a great job on that, but that was the goal of this resolution.
Okay. Thank you. Before we go on to comments from the commissioners and or anyone else, Bridget, would you read the email correspondence that we've received?
I will. Dear Commissioners, the Naperville City Council has heard from hundreds of our residents and stakeholders, approximately 200 plus in support with approximately 40 against the city's resolution urging the governor to veto HB 3653. Testimony was received from Sheriff Mendrick, State's Attorney Berlin, and other high elected officials raising concerns about the 600-page bill that grew to over 700 pages passed in the dead of night around 3 a.m. in the morning. This is not conduct of an open government. It was not transparent nor ethical, as the stakeholders, residents, voters, and other interested parties were not present and most likely fast asleep. Despite the overwhelming support, the resolution failed at our city council by a close 4-5 vote. The city and I am sure Park District have sent resolutions to Springfield to offer suggestions opposing matter and in support of matter. As a resident and as a city councilwoman, I hope you will vote yes to support transparency, ethical conduct, and our men and women who keep us safe. Thank you for your time and service to Naperville. Patty Gustin. I have several more. Dear Commissioners, I encourage you to veto this resolution for the basic reason that you should be focusing on the Naperville Park District, not meddling in legislative issues outside of your purview, and trying to stick it again to Governor Pritzker like you did earlier in the year with the failed lawsuit against the governor. You're wasting our time and tax dollars with these stunts. From Steve and Nancy Turner. With regard to HB 3653 recently passed in both the Illinois House and Senate, the bill's sponsor, Representative Justin Slaughter, said it best. It's time to go from protest to progress. Criminal justice reform cannot wait. Like you, I watched in horror as we witnessed the murder of George Floyd this summer, his life taken by law enforcement as he begged for mercy. The world watched. No one wants to see our justice system so abused, and now is the time to act. HB 3653 was originally HB 163 and received over 4 months of hearings beginning in September of 2020, with 30 hours of testimony provided from the public. Several changes were made to the bill as a result of concerns expressed by law enforcement. Process, with all due respect, is not the issue. Please do not support Resolution 21-01. Diane McGuire. Executive Director McGurry, please acknowledge my support to approve Resolution 21-01 regarding HB 3653 Criminal Justice Reform Bill, disapproving of the legislative process and recommending Governor Pritzker's veto. Thank you, Bruce Hanson. Hello, I would like to voice my opposition to having a resolution on the agenda regarding HB 3653, Criminal Justice Reform Bill. While I believe reform is long overdue and no bill will ever be perfect, this body should be spending their time ensuring our park system is serving its citizens as best it can. Thank you, Taylor Childers. Dear Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners, I urge the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners to vote no on item 3.1, approve resolution 21-01 regarding HB 3653, Criminal Justice Reform Bill, disapproving of the legislative process and recommending Governor Pritzker's veto. Asking Governor Pritzker to veto the Criminal Justice Reform Bill has no place on the City of Naperville Park District Board agenda. Our duly elected state officials have voted. Please stop wasting time and taxpayer dollars on partisan attacks, as was done with the frivolous lawsuit that wasted $25,000 of taxpayer money suing the governor in 2020. This resolution is politically motivated and partisan. The misinformation spread about the Criminal Justice Reform Bill on social media and in editorial and opinion pieces in local newspapers and the false claim of lack of transparency are nothing more than far-right fear-mongering. The deflection to process is a ruse. These veto requests attempt to interfere with the content of the bill. This item has now been put forth on agendas of every governing body in DuPage County by Republican board members. I support our state legislature and the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus agenda. Our incredible Park District Police and Naperville Police Department already abide by many of the provisions in this bill. I urge you to vote no to requesting Governor Pritzker to veto this impressive bill. Our Park District should be on record as in support of attaining the goals of HB 3653, which help us strive toward a more perfect democracy and equal justice under the law. From Karen Peck. Executive Director McGurry Park Police, Chief Steve Schindleback, and all Park District leadership. My name is Antonia Harlan, and I am a 33-year-old resident of Naperville, and I'm the Executive Committee of the DuPage County NAACP. I'm addressing you today regarding Illinois House Bill 3653. These reforms were introduced as a result of the many protests held over the summer months as an outcry from citizens of all ethnicities and walks of life marching against police brutality against African Americans and people of color. George Floyd's death ignited the cry of Black Lives Matter. He lay face down on the street for approximately 8 minutes as soulless officer Chauvin crushed his knee on his neck until Mr. Floyd died in a violent act of brutality. By deflecting Black Lives Matter mantra to All Lives Matter is a diversionary tactic, an attempt to minimize the attention to and the reality of police brutality against Black people who are dying in disproportionate numbers at the hands of police. The additional focus on defunding police is a message highlighting the necessary actions needed to combat brutality and address criminal justice reforms. Consider these realities: requiring cash bails equates to a bounty on the heads of the poor and Black and brown people who typically cannot afford the bails and are incarcerated, but favors the affluent due to their ability to pay. Ending cash bails does not release those with serious offenses or who are high risk to the community. Dylan Root killed 9 people who had welcomed him and prayed with him at Emmanuel African Methodist Church in Charleston, South Carolina, and the police cared enough to buy him Burger King because he was hungry. Kyle Rittenhouse, using an AR-5 style rifle, killed 2 protesters and injured 1, and was allowed to walk away and go home, while people of color are killed for selling cigarettes on the street or bootleg videos at a gas station. Root out biases in policing by not hiring anyone with extremist beliefs and require implicit bias training of all officers and staff. Breonna Taylor was shot 6 times and killed in her own home. Body cameras can capture any possible violations of police policy and can aid in protecting all, and no knock warrant should be banned. Law enforcement's duty is to protect and serve. There's no room in our communities for military-style weaponry to protect the citizens of our communities. These funds could be better used for de-escalation and mental health trainings. According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 2 million people with mental health conditions are booked into jail every year, noting that some never make it to jail but are killed at the hands of law enforcement during mental health episodes. January 6th, with the attack on the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., where hundreds of insurrectionists, not protesters, were allowed to walk away freely after attempting to overthrow the government and threatening to kill Vice President Michael Pence, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, and other government leaders. This is not a broad brush approach. There are many good and dedicated police officers risking their lives and serving their communities, and we should all thank them for their service. But the above examples put a spotlight on the urgent need for reforms in policing, law enforcement, and social justice. Support Illinois House Bill 3653 for the sake of our communities and for the sake of the lives of its people. Thank you to you all for considering the resolution to urge a veto of HB 3653. Our council heard from hundreds of our residents and Sheriff Mendrick, State's Attorney Berlin, and numerous police officers with respect to a similar resolution. The responses, particularly from those in law enforcement, were overwhelmingly in favor of approving the before-mentioned similar resolution. Despite this outpouring of support, the item failed at our council by a close 4-5 vote. Similar resolutions have, however, passed in other jurisdictions. Orland Park passed one unanimously, as did the Kendall County Board. Despite what the naysayers will contend, public safety, challenging unfunded mandates, insisting upon transparent government, and publicly supporting your law enforcement personnel are all issues inherently within the purview of any elected board. Please send a message that this terrible bill and ridiculous circumstances in which it was passed at 4 a.m. with minimal public vetting are not acceptable, and please vote to support this resolution. Thank you for your time and service to Naperville. Kevin Coyne. And finally, my name is Paul Young, and I support the Park District resolution to urge a veto of HB 3653. As a Naperville District 203 board member, I support our SORs, school resource officers, and as a Naperville resident and candidate for Naperville City Council, I support our Naperville police officers. Thank you for protecting all students and all residents and all businesses. Those are all.
That's it. Thank you very much, Bridget. Would any commissioners like to weigh in? Commissioner McBroom.
Thank you, President Riley. I appreciate Commissioner Egan supporting getting this resolution on the agenda. I'm hopeful that the Park Board commissioners can be unified in support of the resolution. As our attorney Dirk mentioned, we do have standing to consider this resolution. I think there's probably a lot of Naperville residents that are not aware that we do have a park police force. So it's certainly within reason that we consider this this resolution. It will, as has already been said, have a direct impact on our police force and their ability to do their jobs. You know, we've heard from many organizations like the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, from our own county sheriff, our county state's attorney, and many others in law enforcement expressing grave concerns over what this reform bill will mean for public safety. I have some of my own concerns, but really my motivation for bringing this resolution forward has much more to do with the manner in which the bill was rushed through. 700+ page bill rushed through at 4 a.m. under a lame duck General Assembly with minimal public vetting gives the appearance that avoiding public transparency was deliberate, which that's what I think it was. I think they deliberately wanted to avoid transparency. And I think that as elected officials, you know, I think we need to send a message to Springfield that this cannot be how government is conducted. I do say on a personal, I just wanted to add, I'm a little tired of the constant attack on police in general. I know a lot of police law enforcement individuals. A vast majority of law enforcement people are good, and they put their lives on the line every day. And I think we're well past the time of you know, toning down the anti-police rhetoric and maybe showing some gratitude for the risks that they take to keep our community safe. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Egan.
Thank you. I've got some comments prepared here, but I echo Commissioner McBroom's and as well as Attorney Price's comments. This is really, at the end of the day, about process. In supporting the men and the women that do the hard job, that go into situations that they don't know what are going to happen. But with that said, I'm going to get into my comments. I'm happy to have seconded the resolution that is before us this evening, and I commend Commissioner McBroom on his leadership for bringing this forward. Springfield, in its infinite wisdom, hastily passed a resolution to fix the police. We only need to look at the history of how Illinois is run to know that Springfield lacks the ability to do anything with any amount of success. The hypocrisy out of Springfield is laughable. My esteemed colleagues on this board, as well as all of the other local elected boards, must post meetings and allow public input 2 days before a vote. Springfield's do as I say, not as I do attitude has gone too far. No one, absolutely no one, could have read 700 plus pages in an hour and be prepared to debate the merits of the bill. The legal eagles that are legislators would have been begging a judge for months of time to get through and respond to such a briefing. I was also told, and I hope this is not true, that legislators changed the bill number in the wee hours of the morning to avoid having to read into the record the number of comments submitted from across the state. The 5 Ps apply here without exception. Let me repeat that. The 5 Ps apply here without exception. You do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are bad apples in any profession, politics included. Speaking of politics, our most famous politician, Mr. Madigan, would be considered a bad apple with most anyone that I speak with. They are appalled at Madigan-style politics, yet our newest state rep, Janet Yang-Rohr, voted for Madigan to continue policies and laws like the one we are discussing tonight. My deepest apologies to every good police officer out there for every board that was not able to pass a resolution in support of your good work. We will not let the few bad apples tarnish your reputation. As I write these comments, I remember just a few short years ago at the first Naperville Marathon, one of our officers was able to save someone that was having a heart attack. How many good stories out there of officers performing their duty under extreme conditions were considered when writing this bill? I doubt any. As noted earlier, the fickle politician that talks out of both sides of their mouth checked their pandering box and moved on without reading the 700 plus pages in an hour. I happily cast my vote in favor of telling Mr. Pritzker to veto the bill and encourage Mr. Pritzker to bring everyone together and advance the conversation on how we can work together to advance the calling to serve and protect. I ask my fellow commissioners to unite and unanimously send the same message, not cast a vote against our men and women who serve and protect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Marie?
Commissioner Tanner also wants to speak, but you saw me first. I do believe that police reform is needed. However, in this particular bill, I do believe that our Park District police would be severely handicapped in their ability to keep our citizens safe and to, you know, the ability that they cannot remove someone from one of our parks if they're harassing people or causing trouble or disturbance is, I think, a big deal, and certainly within the purview of the Park District. And I think this bill just needs more time. I think it's important for our state government to get this right, not fast. So I do support this bill, and I will say, let's take a step back and take a look at this again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Anyone
this
else?
is Antonia Harlan. Are we past public comment now? Or public
Still on the commissioners, but we can go back to public comment.
I submitted for public comment, and I just have a couple of more things to say based on comments I've heard. First of all, the 700 pages, I believe, is a misnomer. I don't believe the entire 700 pages were rewritten. I think there are parts of that. Most of that was already a standing bill, and that certain changes were made to that 700 pages. So it is not a new 700 page bill. Second of all, I understand from the governor, and I may be wrong, but I just want to introduce this, that some of these items are allowed to be implemented over a 2-year period. So it's not, I heard a July date, but I think further investigation should take place as to parts of it being a 2-year implementation. And third of all, when you talk about, it is not against the police. We all need police and we all recognize that. But there is a population that is suffering at times, and you may not understand that because none of you are in that population, and I am. And we suffer at the hands of police for traffic stops even. So this is something that I think maybe you need to think about. And I understand the Park District has a police department, but this bill is for the state. And it's not just for the Naperville Police Department. It affects all of the residents of the state. And when it comes to police, I do think they do good work. But African Americans, people, brown and black people are disproportionately killed by the police for reasons that are unjustified. And so I think that this bill introduces parts that will help to rectify those pieces. And lastly, I want to say, you did speak about Naperville police saving a life of a person at a parade. I've saved a life. I'm not a Naperville Police Department, but I saved a life as well. So that's not limited to the Naperville Police or the Park District Police or anybody in law enforcement. I've done that myself, and I'm just a resident. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Bridget, did we have anyone else signed up to speak?
I do not, and there are no other hands raised.
Okay. Any other commissioners? Commissioner or Vice President King, Commissioner Janner?
Yeah, President Riley, I would agree with much of what Commissioners McBroom and Egan had to say. So rather than restating all that, I simply wanted to react to a message I received that was urging us at the Naperville Park District to quote, stay in our lane, which meant, which I took it to mean, not take a position on matters of public safety, and I certainly disagree with that mentality for a couple key reasons. First, as we mentioned before, of course, we do have our own police force. Price pointed that out, and others have 50 years of service in our community. Once again, 50 years of service in our community. So this is certainly not a new matter for the Naperville Park District. We've been committed to this for over 50 years. And I also wanted to point out, which has been pointed out previously, it's absolutely part of our core values here at the Park District is public safety. And so again, this body's interest in public safety is certainly nothing new. Secondly, I firmly believe that people cannot fully enjoy recreational activities unless they feel safe. Most residents wouldn't go walking, jogging, bicycling, or whatnot on a trail or on a path that they didn't feel was safe. And likewise, most parents wouldn't send their children to a neighborhood park or into a park district program unless they had complete confidence that was going to be safe. So I also like to remind everyone that we maintain 2,500 acres and 140 parks, and continue to commend the two officers that are with us here today and our entire park police force for the great work that they do. Third and finally, a key part, which I've mentioned at these meetings before, of our vision here at the Park District is to be a leader. And leaders call out wrongdoing when they see it, wherever it is. And regardless of what you think about the merits of the bill, we can save that debate for another time and place. As was stated previously, jamming a bill of this magnitude through the legislature in the middle of the night without thorough debate and serious discussion is absolutely wrong. And I think we have a duty to call that out. Many of the legislators reported it was physically impossible to even read the entire bill before casting a vote. And as Commissioner Egan pointed out earlier, I'll underscore it, if the Naperville Park District ever attempted to pull a shenanigan like this, our constituents would be outraged and justifiably so. So for all the above reasons, I would join the others in encouraging the governor to veto this bill as it stands. So hopefully proper vetting can take place within the legislature, and perhaps a trailer bill can be introduced to fix some of the bill's serious flaws. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President King.
Now I'm off mute. So first of all, I want to say hi, Tony. I haven't heard your voice for a while, but I do want to say hi to you as well. I think I worked with you at DuPage County.
Yes.
Yeah, how are you?
Absolutely. I'm great.
Great to hear your voice. Great to hear your voice. So I want to kind of echo what our other commissioners have said too. I mean, one of our core values is public safety. And I think with this bill, this magnitude and talking about public safety really needs more discussion and more time to talk about this. It doesn't need to be rushed in the middle of the night. It needs to get both parties together and talk about the issues. We have an opportunity to do something, or they have an opportunity to do something good for the community and for law enforcement and for our community. It just needs more time and more communication at both sides of the table, not at the dead of night, but during the day, and have both parties there. So that's, and that's my comments.
Thank you. I'll just make a few brief comments and we'll move to a vote. Well, it's certainly true that not all of this 764-page bill was new. When you handed 764 pages at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't know what's new and what you've already seen. This bill has some certainly laudable objectives baked into it, including the work that was done by Kwame Raoul and his task force. So many of the things that are in there should certainly look to be incorporated. But I think the bill as presented does at least two things that are very concerning to me. One is I think it handicaps our park police officers from doing their job, and that is to provide for the safety of our residents, our participants, in a way that's really pretty unobtrusive. And the second thing is this bill introduces really unworkable liabilities for police officers, including Naperville Park District police officers, that are very troubling. So those are my comments. If we have no further comments, Bridget, would you call the roll, please?
Vice President King,
Yes.
Commissioner McBroom,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd. Yes. President Riley.
Yes. Next, we'll move on to new business and discussion items. First item is 4.1, the 2021 financial policy review.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, let me get my paperwork out. Okay, so this is our review, our annual review of our financial policies. At the January 8th Finance Committee meeting, we did go through all of our policies. And I'll just note for tonight that there are not any major changes in any of the policies. There's some cleanup items as usual. A couple things added based on some new procedures that came out of COVID. For example, the electronic approval of invoices that we currently, that we did not have in the current policy. So with that, and I will also mention too that we had our usual suspects approving the policies, including Ansel Blank reviewed them. Our bond counsel did for the disclosure policy. Tom Sawyer reviewed the investment policy, and our new auditor signature reviewed our fund balance policy. So I can go through anything if you wish, or if you've had time to review them and you don't have any questions, the next step would be approval of the policies at the first meeting in March. In February, I'm sorry. I'm off the whole month. The February 11th meeting.
Are there any questions for Director Standish? Commissioner Regan?
No comments directly for Sue, but I'd like to make a blanket comment if I can, in that I'd like to compliment the staff that every agenda item except for one has a memo accompanying it. I've been asking for that since I've been on the board, and I'm hitting my term limit, so maybe I should have championed two-term term limits instead of 3. But thank you in any case, and I hope that remains going forward. It allowed me to read and what to expect in the conversation, and to digest and be prepared for any questions I may have on any agenda items. So I hope you continue to present memos. They don't need to be detailed. A lot of the memos are general and they have supporting detail, and I expect that they'll be discussed in more detail. But at least I'm prepared this evening to have discussion tonight with you on anything that I may have a question on. So with that, kudos to staff. Thank you.
Anyone else? Next item is revision of the Naperville Park District gift acceptance policy.
Yes, so this item was discussed at the January 15th Parks and Rec Committee meeting, as well as included in the January 22nd weekly packet. As part of the CAPR process, staff identified some minor changes to the gift acceptance policy. Over the years, policy was developed and then updated. Just to clarify, this gift acceptance policy is for individuals who wish to donate dollars, in-kind services and goods, real estate to the Naperville Park District. Our staff through this review as part of the CAPR process identified some minor changes, and within the weekly packet was a track changes version of those changes, and we just wanted to open up the day to see if there's any comments from the park board as we move forward in this revision process. And then any comments we would receive, we would incorporate them. And then the intent is to bring this to the board for approval at the February 11th park board meeting.
Any comments? Thank you. Next, move on to the 95th Street Community Plaza Phase 2 development project. And at this point, Ray, I'd like to ask if you can provide us with a little detail on the award that was received.
You know, actually, if Sam, if you could chime in a couple of words, that you probably got the better. I mean, we got a great award for a great project, but Sam can fill in some of the blanks for you.
Yes, we received today the award for outstanding facility for the 95th Street Community Plaza, which we cut the ribbon on earlier this summer. And the award was from IPRA IAPD. So we're very, very proud about that, and sending out a press release about that today.
Thank you. Now we'll go on to talk about the project.
Yes. So as Ray and Sam mentioned, that was phase 1 that we received the award for. In the design phase of the initial project, we received input from residents who identified the interest, and we confirmed an actual need this last summer with the opening of the splash pad at the 95th Street Plaza for a new parking lot, as well as ADA accessible pathways and irrigation system for plant material and landscaping. So that's phase 2 of the project. And we have money and funds available with our 2021 capital budget. And we intend to bring a contract for this phase 2 to the board for consideration in February.
Yes, Commissioner Egan.
I appreciate phase 2. In our annual questionnaire, have the residents demanded more indoor or outdoor space in regards to water and those sorts of things?
We don't have a new survey. We only have the one from 5 years ago.
2017.
17, yeah. 4 or 5 years ago.
So the 2017 Community Interest and Opinion Survey identifies a number of needs, interests within the community for both indoor and outdoor recreation. This component, obviously with the 95th Street Community Plaza, is associated with the outdoor recreation at that site, and to support the overall interest that the community has certainly shown since opening that facility last year.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase. What was the #1 request on that survey?
Trails. I believe it was outdoor trails.
Right behind that is?
I don't have the survey in front of me, Commissioner, but I would be happy to take a look at it after this meeting and get back to you.
Yes, please. I believe the answer there is indoor recreation and water space, and spending money on outdoor space that would be used half the year at best is a waste of taxpayers' money and against their request.
I don't recall water being that high, Commissioner Egan. And I've been on for quite a while, and every survey does come back with need for water, but not high.
And I'll also add that this project does connect trails with it. So, any other comments? We'll move on to the Commissioner's Park Playground Renovation Project.
Yeah, so this project is a plan and contract for the improvements of the renovation at Commissioners Park. With the playground is planned to be presented to the board for consideration in February. This is included within our 2021 capital budget. Last year, we had a chance with the pandemic to utilize an online system to gather input where residents at the convenience and comfort of their own home were able to select play equipment for the Commissioners Park playground renovation with their family. We gathered that input, incorporated the designs, and we're ready to bring a contract to the board for consideration at the February meeting.
Any commentary? Okay, move on to DePage River Sports Complex and Commissioners Park fence improvements.
So this is another project that's within the 2021 capital budget. The fence at Field 4 at DePage River Sports Complex ball field area needs to be replaced and improved, as well as Commissioners Park. This is the synthetic turf field on the north and south sides of that field. That fence also needs to be renovated. This project is planned, the contract for it is planned to be presented to the board for consideration at the February 11th Park Board meeting.
Comments, questions? Okay, move on to Frontier Sports Complex skate facility renovations. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Egan.
No, I'm for any of the improvements that we can make to the fields over in DuPage. They've seen some of their wear, and as we've seen since the inauguration, the state has really started to open up. So let's get it done.
Frontier Sports Complex.
Yes, so this is the skate facility renovation project. This is also a project we had a chance to reach out to the community via an online survey last year, where patrons and folks who are interested in the skate facility were able to provide their input and select skate equipment. Similar to last year, we were able to procure lighting as well as synthetic turf through a purchasing network. The thought is with the skate facility equipment, we would utilize that same purchasing network where the equipment is procured through a competitive bid process. And so the intent is to bring to the board a contract for approval of the skate equipment replacement project at Frontier Sports Complex at the February 11th Park Board meeting.
Any questions or comments? And move on to Springbrook Golf Course sign installation project.
So similar to Fort Hill Activity Center and this here at the administration building, we have a front dynamic sign, electronic sign, which is outstanding for the use and the purposes from a marketing perspective for easily changing out content, whether it's program information, activities, events that we offer as a Naperville Park District. The plan within our budget for 2021 capital improvements is to install a new dynamic sign in the southeast corner of Springbrook Golf Course down along Brook Road. That would be installed this year. A contract for that project is planned to be presented to the board for consideration in February.
Comments, questions? Commissioner Egan?
I'm all for golf. I resubmit my comments through the last several years that while I'm all for golf, we only need one golf course. So, we should consider selling Naperville and doing something better with the money for our residents. Thank you.
Next item is the Wolves Crossing Community Park Architectural and Engineering Services change order number 5.
As identified in the January 22nd weekly packet, within this project, it actually goes back to September 2018. The Park District executed a 80 service contract with Upland Design. And since we started the project and we reported out and updates to the board, that we had some changes and requests from state agencies to add showers within the restroom, to add irrigation system, to make a modification to utilize potable water. We also had staff improvements. But as we went along through the process, we identified at the end of 2020 to evaluate where we're at, as well as to present to the board a change order. But we want to be further along in the process so we knew exactly what was being proposed. So So change order number 5 is for $16,000. It's to basically get us to the finish line for the Wolf's Crossing Community Park project with the site inspections, punch lists, and as-built drawings, not only from the landscape architecture and architectural perspectives, but also civil engineering and structural engineering. So these were parts of the contract that we utilized to get some of these other unknowns completed based on other requirements in the project. Just a quick overview on the cost for A&E services. With the contract approval, it was $457,000. And then we also had some additional items with change orders 1 through 4 was $24,126. And this change order 5 would be $16,000. In total, that's just a little over $497,000. Our intent for the whole A&E service contract when we started this project, the goal is try to stay within that $500,000 range. So we are under that. Also, as a larger scope, as it relates to the entire project of the $11 million price tag, we're well under that at this point too. So we recommend this change order, but we're at the point we're at that $25,000 threshold. Just like at Knock Park Central Maintenance Facility, other large scale improvement projects we completed over the years, we're at the point now to present this to the board for consideration for this additional $16,000.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Regan?
I'm full support of anything at Wolf's Crossing. We've had more comments, positive comments, since we opened Wolf's than any other park in my tenure. The Ninja course and all those things are making a huge difference. Kudos to the commissioner and the board for championing moving this project up several years after it had been deferred after the 2008 bust. So, you know, hindsight's 2020. I'm glad we did it, and I think we should continue to develop this area. Thank you.
And next is the Commonwealth Edison utility easement transfer to the city of Naperville for the Wolf's Crossing Community Park.
Yes, so in 2019, the Naperville Park District entered into an easement agreement with ComEd to install the water line needed to feed Wolf's Crossing Community Park. Now that the project is, the water line has been installed and it's very close to final completion, as we know, the water line service needs to be operated and maintained by the city of Naperville. In working with our legal counsel and city legal and developing documentation for approving an assignment and a consent to agreement to basically take those rights and shift them over to the city of Naperville so they can maintain the water line service in the future. So essentially, this is a simple housekeeping as we close out the project. And the intent is to bring an ordinance to approve this assignment and consent agreement to the board for consideration in February. Also, so the board is aware, since this also relates to the city of Naperville, this is the intent is that the city staff are looking to present this to city council for consideration in February as well.
Commissioner McBroom, did you have a question or a comment? No. Okay. Anyone? No. Okay. Next is item 4.10, National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court Program.
Yes, included with the information for tonight's meeting was information from the National Fitness Campaign and the Fitness Court Program. The board packet included a couple of executive summaries provided by the National Fitness Campaign, a feasibility study, as well as a 2-minute video on what a fitness court is. The National Fitness Campaign recently reached out to the city of Naperville with an interest in bringing a fitness court program to Naperville and partnering with the community to do that. City staff recognized that it felt more in line with the mission of the Park District and connected us with their representatives, which our staff has been able to meet with a couple of times to learn more about just what this is and what the project is. Fitness courts are outdoor fitness gyms. They're approximately 38 by 38 feet in size, and they're comprised of several fitness stations. They offer free outdoor fitness to the public. Workouts can be completed individually as people drop in, or through use of a fitness court app. And the classes can also be scheduled by the Park District to be held at these types of facilities. The National Fitness Campaign partners with city, schools, and state agencies to plan, build, and assist with funding the courts nationwide. They're in the process right now of identifying the communities to partner with to accomplish this in 2021. If there was an interest among the board to pursue this further, Staff would recommend looking at potentially a 2022 project to complete a fitness court. In addition
Is
to
it-
the fitness, excuse me.
Go ahead.
In addition to fitness, the NFC is working to support public art within parks. They are incorporating artwork into the fitness courts. One of the options that they have is working with the Keith Haring Foundation, where the municipality is licensed to be able to have his art as part of the fitness court for a series of years. The other option is for the park district, if we were to pursue this, that we could actually identify and work with a local artist to also incorporate art into the fitness court. As I mentioned before, they completed an initial feasibility study in speaking with us, identifying potential locations. Staff has identified that if we were to pursue a fitness court, one of the top options might be the Frontier Sports Complex facility that does not have this type of amenity within the community. If selected, the Park District could apply for a $25,000 grant that is available through the Illinois Parks and Recreation Association, designated for the fitness court program, working with local artists. The National Fitness Campaign stated that organizations, cities that they've worked with, typically will fund about 50% of the project, and then the remaining 50% is funded through the grant and other partnerships that they help to pursue. The current cost is for the fitness court is $130,000 plus the cost of installation. The Keith Haring court with the licensing and what comes with that project is estimated at $200,000 plus the installation. If there's an interest in moving forward, the next step would be for staff to work with the campaign to complete a non-binding application to be further considered for the placement of the fitness court in Naperville. And we would then certainly have further discussion with the board as part of the development of the 2022 capital budget. If there was an interest to move forward. So we wanted to provide the board with the information that has been submitted to the Park District about this potential partnership, and open up and have some initial discussion this evening to see if there was an interest among the board to explore the potential partnership further.
Brad, has this gone to Parks and Rec?
Yeah, President Riley, to speak up on that. The Parks and Rec Committee did take this up and look at it, and the consensus at that time was to push it to the full board for discussion, which is why we are here tonight. And I'd like to further comment that what we just went through over the past year with this pandemic, and heaven forbid that should happen again within the next 10 to 15 years or whatever the lifespan of this project will be. It certainly shines a spotlight on the need for something like this. Again, we should ever be shut down from indoor recreation, which seemed unthinkable maybe a year or two ago, but if that should happen, I mean, something like this really rises to the top. And I think Commissioner McBroom can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he identified another community in the Orange Park in the south suburbs that was celebrating a project like this, so then we can take a look into that. And then just my last comment, I think if we are going to proceed with this, we should maybe look at some possibility. I mean, we went through this with pickleball, lighting. I would imagine this could be a popular amenity after dusk, and either we make a decision that we just want it to be closed after dusk, or it may just be. I have a feeling it would be wildly popular even in the evening hours, just like we learned with pickleball. Commissioner McBroom, did you want to comment on anything you and I talked about this offline, but in the south suburbs?
Yeah, New Lenox, right? I saw the press release on it. It looked pretty neat. Great idea. It'd be nice to maybe follow up with New Lenox, and one of those things where it's like, wow, that sounds like a great idea. I hope people use it. Maybe watch and see. Do their residents really take advantage of it? I suspect they probably will, but yeah, I mean, sounds like a good idea. And it didn't look like they spent a ton of money on it. I mean, relatively speaking.
We're also aware that Hoffman Estates Park District has installed the court, and so staff, we have been in communication with Hoffman Estates and look to visit that site as well. So we'll certainly reach out to New Lenox.
Commissioner Egan?
I appreciate the committee's work, and I celebrate that with you. To my comments earlier on the resolution, I believe this committee met during the middle of the day, and I'm certainly in full support, but to those comments earlier, we want people to participate in these meetings, and to ask people to participate during the middle of the day, during the workday, is not acceptable in my opinion. I still stand on my comments that all committees, if we're going to have a committee structure, should take part during non-working hours, where people can come to work, come after work, and have their say. So not taking away, I think it's good work, and I'm all for it. But these committee meetings need to happen when people don't have to use vacation time, and can participate and share their comments freely, unlike they did in Springfield. Thank you.
Any other comments on this? Is there anyone who's not in favor of moving forward with this, investigating this project? So Brad, I think you have consensus from the board that it is an interesting project to look at.
Very good. We'll continue to work with the campaign and then report back to the board as new information becomes available.
Okay, and Brad, we're coming up on item 4.11, which is always a highlight of the year for me, the annual 2020 T-shirt bid.
T-shirt bid, yes. So at the next meeting, we will be bringing to the board a recommendation to award our annual T-shirt bid. This is the bid for program T-shirts, uniforms for both our maintenance staff as well as for facility staff and program staff. This year we had a bid opening earlier this week. We are actually working through reviewing the bid documents, just ensuring that the information submitted is correct. We had 11 bidders this year. The bid is smaller than in past years as far as the quantity of items, as well as the price or the cost that we will be bringing to the board as an expenditure, due to the fact that we had some inventory for programs that did not utilize their shirts and uniforms last year, as well as looking ahead and anticipating lower attendance levels within some of our programs. So we will have a full detailed memo with the bidders and the amounts for the recommendation at the February 11th meeting, and we'll bring a contract to the board for consideration at that meeting.
Thank you. Next is the recreation programming plan.
Yes, included with the information submitted to the board for this meeting was a draft of the recreation programming plan. This is an update to our plan that we utilize with the district in the development of our recreation programs and the services that we provide. It really helps to structure the services and programs to our mission, to our vision, and to our core values, as well as ties back to our master plan and strategic plan, and sets the direction for the recreation department and what we deliver. There were a number of changes to the recreation plan this year. That is why I did not submit a track changes document, because of changes within the CAPRA standard for this particular item. So some of the updates that I'll run through included even items such as adding a signature line to the title page of the first page. That's a CAPRA requirement now. Linking our table of contents. The intro of changes in the overall plan layout, demographics or program participant updates. Now that we have information up through 2019 is included within the plan, we certainly look to also add 2020 when all of that information is finalized. The addition of some primary objectives within each of the core program service areas, as well as several appendices, our organizational charts, program and facility evaluations, our program matrix as far as how we track programs and the different types of programs we're offering, and a community inventory of some of the other similar providers, as well as our own park facilities. So wanted to provide that to the board in draft form prior to this meeting for review, to be able to answer any questions or comments that you may have on the plan prior to bringing it to the board for consideration at the February 11th meeting.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, next is administrative policies.
The administrative policies was also included with the board packet. This did include a document with track changes in it. Leadership team has gone through and reviewed, as well as legal counsel, our administrative policies that we have with the district, and suggested a number of changes and some clarifications. Certainly won't run through them all, but if there are any questions or comments from the board, we would be happy to address those this evening.
Input, questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to personnel and risk management policies.
Hello, at your February 11th meeting, I will be bringing forward 7 total policies for your approval. All 7 of the policies are revisions. 4 of them are personnel policies, and the other 3 are risk management policies. The process for reviewing the policies is a staff review, also a review within the HR department, things that we've seen that need to be clarified, and then ultimately legal. So of the policies that are coming before you, the only one that is being revised per legal advice is the sick time policy. All of the other revisions are coming from staff. And you received in the weekly packet the track changes copies of all 7 policies. Do you have any questions?
Questions, comments? Nothing? Okay, thank you. Next, move on to golf cart purchase.
Thank you, President Riley. We will be bringing a contract for the purchase of 15 2021 Yamaha golf carts to the boards for the February 11th meeting for the year consideration. This purchase is included in our 2021 capital budget and is part of our annual replacement program for our golf cart fleet. We have a total of 120 golf carts in our fleet at our 2 courses. And by purchasing 15 new carts annually, we'll end up with no cart in our fleet with no more than 8 seasons of use, which is important to assure our patrons quality golf carts for rental. This contract will use a purchasing contract that was publicly solicited, negotiated, and awarded to Yamaha golf cars. The Yamaha golf cart being proposed is the same model that has been purchased the past 3 years. We have a total of 45 carts in our fleet currently. We've experienced no significant issues with this cart and received excellent service from the distributor. The purchase price of $53,255 after the trade-in allowance is within our budget for this purchase.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Regan.
Have we considered leasing, number 1? Number 2, have we looked at the electric side? Number 3, assuming that this is awarded, are we going to be selling these carts out to the boomers in Arizona, or how are we getting the best value for our dollar here for the trade-in?
Regarding the trade-in value, this trade-in is part of this package with Yamaha. We have sold carts in the past for gov deals and gotten comparable prices to the trade-in value we are getting from Harris Golf Cars. And we have also looked at the leasing of golf cars. The price would be significantly higher or partially higher due to the APR rate we'd have to pay on this lease. And the purchase of electric golf cars would have a substantial upfront cost due to work we'd have to do on both clubhouses to make this project work for electric golf cars.
Commissioner Regan.
I trust that analysis will be written up in your final proposal next month.
I will include all.
And I appreciate that we've been hearing that for years, but that upfront cost at some point, hindsight's 2020. So I'd like to see it, if it's not in this analysis, certainly the next one where apply hindsight 2020 had you leased 10 years ago, that upfront cost where we would stand. Are we break even? Does it make a difference? Those are questions that I certainly have. Not that you've been making bad decisions along the way, but we have to look backwards to say, how do we know?
For clarification, when you're talking about upfront cost, you're talking about electric versus the current conventional carts. Is that correct? Not the leasing?
Absolutely. The electric, whatever the electric, whatever stuff that needs to be, that's beyond my pay grade. What needs to be installed to make electric carts go?
Got it.
We will have that information in the memo for the February 11th meeting.
Okay. Next, professional services for Springbrook and Naperville Golf Course renovations.
Thank you. A contract for professional services with Martin Design Partnership will be on the consent agenda at the February board meeting. The contract proposed with Martin Design provides professional services for projects planned at both Naperville and Springbrook golf courses in 2021, which are part of the Golf Master Improvement Plan presented to the board in 2018. The two projects for golf in the 2021 capital plan include a practice area renovation at Naperville and phase 1 improvements of a 2-year phase renovation at Springbrook Golf Course. These projects, especially the project at Springbrook Golf Course, will be addressing problems with drainage and lack of proper sizing over at Naperville and the practice area. Both these projects are expected to be completed in the fall and will have minimal impact to play and revenues. Martin Design originally had a contract approved in February 2020 for design and engineering work related to these projects. The majority of that work was completed under budget last year, and this contract is a continuation of the original proposal terms, which include the remaining engineering and permitting, bid review, construction observation, erosion control review, and inspections. Total for this contract is $60,389, of which $14,700 is for work at Naperville and $45,689 is for work at Springbrook. $85,000 was budgeted for these services.
Commissioner Egan?
In your opinion, Kevin, is plans, we'll call it 3, almost 4 years ago at this point, still viable for Naperville, given where golf is overall? My opinion hasn't changed. We're throwing good money after bad at Naperville. Sell it to somebody, sell it to Plainfield, sell it to Bolingbrook, let them turn it into houses, do a combination thereof of a driving range and a corporate course is where my mind sets, and we're still following a plan that is now effectively 4 years old. So help me understand that.
I would like to say something before Kevin does. This past year, golf has been, in demand with both of our courses. We had over 80,000 rounds. Not all of those rounds are at one course. They're both at Springbrook and Naperville. I know you keep trying to get rid of Naperville, but it's a preferred course for women and a preferred course for juniors. So yeah, you can take your macho attitude and say we just need Springbrook, but I do believe that we need both courses. It serves different parts of our population, and they're both utilized very effectively. Go ahead, Kevin.
All due respect to your comments, Marie, I agree with you 100% on the last year, but that's all COVID related. When I look back, if we go back to the beginning of March when Jelly Belly said we couldn't have people in the same golf cart, even though they lived in the same household, this confuses me. We need to take the one-time spike out of it and do a business analysis. If golf can't be supported after the COVID, so I'll give you the summer. We're going to have great numbers this summer. But 2022, assuming the vaccine's out there and the federal government does what it's supposed to do, and I hang my head, Illinois does what it's supposed to do, 2022, are we back to the norm where golf isn't that popular and people can't invest 4 or 5 hours in a round? I don't know that it's right to have 2 courses, but that's my opinion. I certainly respect yours. In today's day and age, this past summer and the summer upcoming, we're going to have a great year, but it's all COVID related. So, Kevin's welcome to address both of those arguments and find balance. I welcome that.
Well, regarding what we're looking forward here with golf, based off of what we saw this year, obviously we saw a surge due to COVID. We saw golfers come out that we haven't seen in years. We saw golfers that had never played before come out. So we're able to build on what we see this year going forward. We'll have these golfers in our database, in our books, and then we can take these golfers, promote to these golfers, and build on what we had this year. We look at our programs. Our programs were full this year. People were coming out learning golf. So we're going to be expanding on what we were able to do this year going forward, and that'll continue to build, hopefully, for our golf courses going forward. With Naperville, the practice area renovation that we're looking at, we're doing a project very similar to what we did at Springbrook. We completed that project in 2016 and immediately saw a 5 to 10% increase in the driving range revenue from that project. And it's only grown since. So I feel that the project is warranted for Naperville. It's going to see additional revenue coming into Naperville, similar to what we did at Springbrook, and it's only going to help us going forward.
Any other comments? Executive Director McGurry.
Yeah, just as a point of clarification, if we were to go ahead and attempt to sell Naperville, that's a referendum issue. We just can't arbitrarily do that. So that would have to go to the voter.
Is there any second to put it on? Is there any second to put it on referendum for, I don't know, the year 2023, I believe is the correct year. Maybe it's 2022. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments. First of all, Commissioner Egan, by your own admission, this summer is going to be a tremendous year for golf. Why would we sell it now? But more importantly, I want to echo Marie's comments that Naperville is a preferred course for women and for seniors, which are two important demographic cohorts for the Naperville Park District. So I think it would be irresponsible to sell the course. Next item.
Mike, and I appreciate your comments, Mike, but if you understand multiples of cash flow and EBITDA, at the peak is the time that you sell. Thank you.
And we are not a private profit orientated company. Next, golf managed software and services for Naperville and Springbrook golf courses.
Thank you. A contract for the board's consideration for golf management software and services will be on the February consent agenda. Our golf courses require a point of sale system tailored to our golf operations. Our current provider has provided our courses with an adequate platform of services over the past 3 years, but several recent issues have resulted in staff having concern regarding the long-term viability of the company. Staffing reductions with the company have resulted in less timely service, and service representatives assigned to our courses have left the company. We've also been informed that the parent company has made its intent to sell their golf division. Based on these issues, golf began exploring new options for our golf management software and services. After receiving RFPs from several providers of golf management software and having staff research and demo each, golf is proposing to enter into a contract with 4UP for our golf management services. 4UP's features fit our requirements, offering a cloud-based system with mobile options that allow us to service customers inside the clubhouse or out on the golf course. They will assist us with upgrading our website and help provide promotion, which will help continue to grow our online sales and database. This contract for consideration is for $38,900 and includes the annual fees for the point of sale system and T-sheet management, along with marketing services, which includes the upgrade and hosting of the golf website. The contract includes one-time fees for training and implementation, plus the necessary hardware required. After our system is implemented, the annual fee for the software and services will be less than our current fees with our current provider. With approval, staff will begin the transition immediately with the goal of having the software and website available in late March.
Commissioner Egan.
Yeah, so Kevin, I don't doubt your analysis. Don't get me wrong here, but again, 3 terms, a decade invested in this. I've heard as we switch platforms, this is the next best thing. The grass is greener. And the fact that the parent company of this latest grass is greener is selling and can't maintain, from my standpoint, supports my argument that golf is in the crapper. And we can't support 2 golf courses. And now we're going to invest more fixed cost. I don't recall what we invested in the last run, but now you're asking for 40 grand. And I would imagine in 2, even if I gave you 4 years, we're going to be having the same conversation. The conversation won't be had with me. Hopefully there's other board members that pick up on it because I believe in term limits. So I'm done, but where is the end? Are we not better off just developing our own, or seeing if we can't, take the software from the current provider and see if we can't support it on our own? There's a balance there, certainly. I certainly would love a software system, and if there's a button that you can install here to keep track of commissioners' golf rounds and charge that to our budget so that the golf courses can keep track of those golf rounds when we're inspecting, there might be a better uplift on the back end. But at the end of the day, we're dropping 40 grand on something that we don't know that's going to be around in 2 to 3 or 4 years just because of the nature of golf. Now, maybe Tiger Woods' son comes back and saves the game like Tiger did himself. Okay, but your guess is as good as mine. Maybe it'll act like GameStop's stock price in the last few weeks here.
Regarding the company planning to sell, the golf software we are currently using right now is owned by an airline company. And obviously the airline companies are dealing with their own issues right now. And that's mainly the reason why they're planning to sell.
Vice President King.
Yeah, hey Kevin, the price that you quoted is very similar to what we, like a Nicor Gas on some of the platforms we use for engage with our customers, especially in like a marketplace. So I think that price is definitely within line with the startup cost, and actually, as you go through, you probably over time the maintenance will actually go down, which is great. And I have to disagree with Commissioner Egan's comment about golf is dead. I mean, we're seeing a lot of new golfers come in. We've introduced Kevin and his team, and Sam and the marketing team has done a great job of introducing new golfers, new people to the sport, getting out there to, go to both our courses and use our courses that we never had before. And I think you guys did a great job in that. And I don't think it's dead. I think it's on the rise, and people are going to be there this year, the year after, and the year after that too. And I just wanted to thank the staff on providing great facilities and marketing to get them out there as well too.
Commissioner Egan.
I appreciate your experience with Nicor's platform. I would submit to you that I'm tired of getting hosed by $6 for paying my bill with a credit card.
President Riley,
Yes.
I just wanted to add on golf here. I mean, normally we've got obviously a number of items on the agenda tonight related to golf expenditures. Normally in a year of uncertainty and everything, the tough budget year and everything, I would probably be opposed to some of this. I would definitely be opposed to the sign and some of the other items as well. But yeah, I think in this business we have to look at something known as customer acquisition cost, and it's always a lot easier and a lot less expensive when it comes to customer acquisition costs. I'm sure Kevin understands this as well. To retain a customer as opposed to getting, and I'm sure Sam understands as well, to retain a customer as opposed to getting a brand new customer. It costs a lot more to get a brand new customer than it does to retain a customer. And so we've got this current wave due to COVID. We got a plum that's dropped into our lap with all these people that have extra time working from home, and we've seen this boom in golf. We've got to retain these people for as long as possible. If that means the sign for marketing, or the new cards for a better guest experience, or the software, whatever the case might be. I mean, we've got to do whatever we can right now to ride this wave and keep these people in our system and loyal to us for as long as possible. So, I mean, I think now is the time for this. I mean, if we were going to go under Commissioner Egan's plan and dump this immediately or within a year or two, but only one commissioner at the moment, that is in favor of that. I really just don't see that happening on the horizon. So, now's the time to put the gas pedal down and try to keep as many customers as we can to move forward.
Thank you. Okay, next item is purchase of a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor.
Thank you and good evening. At the February 11th board meeting, we intend to present for consideration the purchase of a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor for $45,360. This purchase had been listed in our fleet vehicle and equipment budget for 2021. The vehicle is an all-wheel drive hybrid SUV and will be replacing a 2013 model with over 116,000 miles on it and requiring further repairs. The price also included all police safety lighting and sirens, so the vehicle will arrive ready for the road. Originally, the anticipated cost was over $56,000, so there's about a $10,000 savings with this particular unit. Any questions?
Commissioner Regan?
You said that was a Ford?
Correct.
I'm all for the POPO, but I have to publicly admit I've got a couple hundred shares of Ford, which will make a difference in this transaction. But I hope you do not put that on the surplus list and that you treat it as a handy-down. I've ridden in a couple of our squads where our men and women of service have literally worn the steering wheel padding off. So hopefully we can find a home within our other sectors to get a little bit more use out of that. I'll echo Marie's favorite story of my Honda CRV, which has officially died as of last year, with well over 200,000 miles on it. But I handed that down to a family member who could certainly use a car, and the cost benefit there, I think, can be achieved by holding on to it for a few more years. But I'm all support of our police. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, last item is ordinance 991, declaration of surplus property.
Yes, also at the February 11th meeting, we will be presenting our intent to surplus various items and pieces of equipment. An itemized list was provided in the January 22nd weekly packet and included contributions from Fleet, Golf, and the Trades Division. Per ordinance number 991 of the Illinois Park District Code, the district has determined that the listed items are no longer needed for park purposes, and as has been our standard practice, the equipment and property will be placed for sale on the GovDeals website, recycled or traded in.
Thank you. Our next scheduled meeting is a regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners, February 11th, 2021, 7 p.m. And I believe, Ray, that will be at Fort Hill. Is that correct?
That's, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. We have no executive session this evening, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Sure. Move to adjourn the January 28th, 2021 regular meeting.
Second.
We have Moshe second.
I beat Josh.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you.